Awesome, man. Abuamerican. I want to talk about desperation real quick. And when I talk about desperation, desperation in your relationships, and all of your relationships, professional, personal, intimate. You know, guys, make sure you don't. There's a lot that played here to the point that I'm not even sure where to start on this. There's two different types of desperation. There's actual desperation, and there's misinterpreted desperation. Actual desperation is ugly. Okay, nobody wants to deal with that. If you go to a job interview and you're just desperate for that job, they're probably not going to hire you because of the way you behave in the interview. Women are definitely not going to want anything to do with you because it's very needy behavior. Guys don't want anything to do with women that are extra desperate because it just looks like she's cheap and easy. Even though that might not be the case, she just might really want you. The guy might just really want the job. It doesn't really have to be like that. And this misinterpreted desperation, where sometimes a person, he's just showing characters and he's showing eagerness and he's showing desire, but he's showing in an unrefined, uncalibrated way, or she is. And it gets misinterpreted by the recipient of that, as desperation, which is ugly. And desperation is ugly, where a person's just trying too hard, they're doing too much, they're being too friendly, and then they look like a doormat, or they actually behave like one. And that's where your interpretation has to come into play, where, is the person actually being desperate, or am I just seeing it this way? And you have to interpret that, obviously, so you know how to treat the person accordingly. I'm not advocating that you treat anybody bad. If a person's desperate, is for friendship or a relationship, whatever else, if you think it's a good person and they're just, they just don't know how to not try too hard, you might want to give them a chance, but then the thing is, and this is where I think women have it right, where that needy behavior turns out to be pretty bad, in it that there's a lot of expectation for what they put in and what they expect out of you. And that's the biggest problem when dealing with extra needy people, extra desperate people, is that there's that hidden contract that they expect you to behave in a certain way, and they expect you, to do certain things in exchange for their kindness and friendliness that they've shown you. Because a lot of times these people, they go above and beyond to be your friend or be in a relationship with you, and then they have an expectation which is unspoken in exchange. Women do this a lot. Sometimes men do this, especially to women. Amongst men tend to generally, say, well, if I do this, you give me that. It's like a business contract. But because a lot of times in terms of relationship, guys they want sexual access to the woman, but they just don't want to come outright and say that. They do these hidden contract things, the expectation in the dating world. I take you to dinner and a nice night out, and in exchange, you're going to screw me at the end of the day. This is the non-Muslim concept, generally. I mean, generally, it's not always like that, but the vast majority of the times it is. There's that unspoken expectational contract. On the other hand, you have the people who are more direct. If I do this, I get that. And this is why, generally, going into the relationship area, I don't advocate anything except coffee. If you're meeting someone for the first time, just give them, coffee. It's low commitment, in terms of the cost. The highest commitment is your time, and that you might waste it. But in terms of actual friendships also, it's the same thing. Don't invest too deeply in a friendship that's not reciprocal, where there's no reciprocal respect agreement, appreciation, whatever else. And also understand that a lot of people, they will misinterpret, another person's friendliness with weakness or a carpet. And I've said this on my Twitter. It's like some people, the better you are to them, the worse they become, and what they do. And, I have this problem just like anybody else. Sometimes you're good to someone because you think, okay, this is a cool dude, be treat him like a homie. And then that person actually misunderstands that, and then they start pushing too far because they interpret your kindness as desperation or weakness. And so make sure on both ends of the spectrum, you're not making the mistake of misinterpreting a person's behavior, and you're not making the mistake of, overplaying the importance they have to you, because you don't want to be desperate in a relationship, professionally, or personally, because on a job, let's go into employment, because we talked about personal, we talked about relationships, let's talk about professionally. If you seem desperate at your job, what do you think is going to happen? Two things can happen. One, they're just not going to hire you because it just seems a bit weird and you seem creepy. Or two, they're going to hire you, and then they're going to treat you like a person who can't do without this job. Like, you absolutely need this job. That's why you're acting so desperate. And then they're going to try to abuse you. And they're going to try and get you to do things overtime, you know, at regular pay or for free. They're going to, you know, treat you like crap with the idea that, you know what, this guy can't quit because he needs this job really bad. If he didn't need this job really bad, why is he acting so desperate? This type of stuff. So, you know, you want to look out for this behavior on all ends of the spectrum. You just don't want to, you know, fall into that type of behavior in terms of desperation / neediness. It's just something I witnessed recently, and I thought I'd talk about. All right, guys. It's your man, Abuamerican.